So hi everyone and welcome to our YouTube channel. This I think is like our third or fourth video, which is really, really nice. And as you all know, the idea behind these videos is that we get to meet with our partners and the different colleagues that we have and that we do workshops and services with and get to know a wee bit more about the motivation behind their sort of why they want to do what they do, why we wanted to work together and sort of the ideas and just the people behind the scenes, I suppose. So yeah, so I really, really want to welcome Nina today. So Nina is here from Ovacome, and we've also got Federica here, our genius social media whiz kid. So, but yeah, I don't want to introduce Nina too much because I think Nina can introduce herself, but really happy and thankful to have you with us.
Thank you so much for having me. And hello, everyone. I'm Nina. I'm the Health Equalities and Engagement Officer at Ovacome. And Ovacome is the National Ovarian Cancer Support Charity.
Tell us a wee bit more about just yourself and your journey to this type of work. And
I first arrived in the UK when I was around 16. I finished school here. And I have a background in psychology, but it was only when I started my master's degree during COVID that I became really passionate about health inequalities. So I did a lot of my research and I spent a lot of my time researching underserved communities and what we can do in healthcare to provide a more person-centered approach. That's how I ended up being the Health Equalities and Engagement Officer at Ovacome. And it's been great so far.
Could you tell me just a wee bit more about, because some of us might not even be aware that there are health inequalities. So what does that mean, I suppose?
So when I speak about health inequalities, I speak a bit about additional barriers that certain people and communities might face when accessing diagnosis, treatment, and support in healthcare. There are specific characteristics of individuals, for example, where they come from, their ethnicity, what language they speak, their sexual orientation, their gender identification, even their location can impact the quality of care and also the access that they have to care.
It's hard enough in other spaces, but to need physical care and healthcare and have those barriers is really tough. And I think that it's a nice point to sort of acknowledge that the reason that we partnered together, and that's because I think you guys got in touch with Sheldon Chadwick from the Showmen's Mental Health, and you wanted to support show people who might also face sort of barriers and we might not even be aware of those barriers. And I think that the relationship was just to sort of partner up, get together the three organisations, Epic, Showmen's Mental Health and Overcome, and see sort of where there were barriers, which led to what I really, really liked about our partnership, the idea that we spent proper time actually having consultations and working with the community and listening from them.
I think the way we decided to approach it was perfect, and it was actually a really good example of what good co-production is like. We consulted with members of the community, and not just a couple, but different people, so that they can all come with their own perspectives. And we had a bit of time in between each of the consultations to think about it and also talk to each other about what we thought was useful and what was actually useful to the community, and adapt our ideas to the feedback that they gave us. What do you think?
Yeah, no, that's what I thought was really good. And then we actually, which can be unusual, the people who attended the consultations actually were so committed to the process and really got so much from it that they then, I think almost all of them attended the actual workshops. And I have heard back from them since, and they're like, are there going to be more workshops? Should we be sharing stuff on? And they really felt like there was ownership of it. I loved that. I loved that there truly felt like a sense of ownership all round. It wasn't just from the organisation, it was from the community members. Yeah, so it was 3 consultations that we had to start with, and we had partners in those and people who attended. We had the Showmen's Mental Health Awareness Charity, Overcome, Epic. We also had Future Fairgrounds. We had Fair Scotland. They were the 2 organisations that you would say attended and sort of took part in the consultations. And they're both community-led groups. And then, yeah, they told us what they wanted and thought would work. So what we discovered from the consultations were that a workshop's great for sort of having discussions and going more in depth, but they felt that it was more important to be visible for a long time. So having like videos that we made and having them sort of on social media, that was a really important thing for them. And then even people were saying things like, let's start an organization where we can fund private healthcare and stuff like it was really aspirational. It was brilliant. And who knows, maybe that's the future. But one of the things, and we consider it a bit of a legacy, is the idea of maybe having like a forum eventually, something on our websites where people can chat and discuss from the Showman community, and then also maybe cancer champions. So we've had the workshop, we'll have the social media campaign, and then there's so much more to come, which is nice. Like, what did you think of that? Is that like from your other communities you work with, is that a usual thing or?
It depends. I think what I found so special about working with show people was how they got really excited about the future and how we planned all of this, because usually it takes a little bit of time for people to speak completely openly sometimes and tell us exactly what they need. Sometimes because they think that maybe their ideas are a bit too big or it's not really feasible. And I really enjoyed everyone getting really excited about what we can do. And there was sort of no limitations. We just said, we're going to try our best to do whatever you think might be useful for you. And I think that that was one of my favorite things that came out of working together.
Yeah, me too. So by nature, we're a community that's sort of built around a business and
Mm,
skills we get from young. And I would say there was like almost like an entrepreneurial sense of like how do we get the job done? And I love that. I think that's why showmen can be really successful in a lot of the things that
yeah.
they do, that sort of drive and that sort of creativity. Could you tell us a wee bit about just Ovacome and their services? I suppose generally, like everything that you do and the people you work with, and yeah, just the mission of Ovacome, really.
Yeah, I'd love to. So, Ovacome is the National Ovarian Cancer Support Charity. We provide support and information to anyone affected by ovarian cancer. So that doesn't need to be someone diagnosed or that was diagnosed, or it can be to friends, it can be to family, or anyone that is impacted by the disease. We have specialized information that we have co-produced with not just healthcare specialists, but also with other charities and community groups to make sure that it is specialized and tailored to specific communities. We have a free phone that is open Monday to Friday from 10 till 5. We provide one-on-one support. That way, we also have lots of support groups that range from like peer support groups, but also other things like choir or crafts when someone doesn't really want to talk about cancer so much, but wants to feel part of the community and do something together. But that's not so much focused on that. And we also have a online forum and regional support groups and events.
Yeah, no, it's good. It's so important. So just about a wee bit about ovarian cancer then. So I think it's important in this video to highlight and let people know exactly what it is, because it's not, in some ways, I think some people would say it's not the most well known about cancer.
Yeah, it's not. It's actually, I would say that ovarian cancer is quite uncommon. And something that I only realized when I started working for Ovacom is that the smear tests don't detect ovarian cancer. That's why we also are trying to raise awareness of the signs and symptoms and anything that you might notice that is a little bit uncommon for you to always go and look for help.
So what are the signs and symptoms?
So the signs and symptoms, we actually have an acronym that we used for the main signs and symptoms, and we call it BEAT. So B is for bloating, that it doesn't come and go, so a persistent bloating. E is for eating difficulties, so feeling full more quickly or any changes in appetite. A is for abdominal pain that you also feel most days, and T is for any toilet changes that you might experience.
So beat, I think one of the things that I like, we talked about it in the workshop, was listening to sort of the rhythm or the beat of your body and sort of
Yeah.
remembering it in that way, because everybody's body has its own sort of way of working. And as you say, there might be some other symptoms for other people. And the best thing is to just know yourself and take notice of your body. So what do you do if you think you might have the signs and symptoms of ovarian cancer?
We always tell people that if you are worried about having ovarian cancer, to go speak to the GP. And usually your GP will measure a protein in your blood called CA125 with a blood test. And after you get the results from that, you might get sent to a ultrasound if your GP thinks you need one. But yeah, always go to the doctors if you think that something is wrong and if you're worried about anything.
And you mentioned something earlier that I think is really important, and I think it's important in any service we do, and that's advocating for yourself. Because I think that quite often, especially these days, we worry that the doctor's too busy, they don't want to see us, there's not enough appointments. We still need to sometimes push to make that happen and to be really strong on saying, like, no, I need to be seen. So what do you think about advocating for yourself?
I think it's one of the most important things that we have to do for ourselves. No one knows us more than we know ourselves. And it's something actually that I was thinking about when we were talking about our process of working together, how we always told everyone that came to the consultations, you guys know everything, so tell us the knowledge. And I think this is how we also should approach anything relating to healthcare, that if you think that something is wrong because something is not normal for you, it doesn't mean maybe these symptoms might be normal for some other person. But if something is not sitting right with you, then you're the expert on this, and it's really important. And also, I really like that Ovacome has symptom diary. And I always tell people that also, if they're worried about going to the doctor and being dismissed, to download the symptom diary on our website. And it is a A4 sheet. It has the signs and symptoms, and you can track them for 3 weeks. And then when you go to the doctor, you just bring that with you.
I have to say that there is like the resources available on the Ovacome website for all of this are so helpful. Like you have a lot of information booklets and all things that you download, and you can even just have on your phone and just have a check through. What do you think's been the greatest challenge within your role?
This is a question that I never really know how to answer because I can't think of just one specific challenge that is greater than the other ones, but there are a couple that immediately come to mind. I think reaching and engaging with underserved communities, we can sometimes face like cultural stigmas around discussing ovarian cancer or female reproductive organs. And even we can also experience just language barriers overall. And I find that a bit difficult. And another thing is that the sector sometimes can have some resource constraints. So it's when you're working within like budgetary limitations, certain things can sometimes feel more challenging. So it's just about thinking outside the box and trying to understand how to make something possible. And yeah, I think there are lots of other challenges, but these are the two main ones that come to mind.
Yeah. No, I agree that I would say that certainly the second one when it comes to maybe funding or things like that, it can be a challenge. So what do you think, what role does mental health support play in the overall journey or process or treatment of somebody that's experiencing ovarian cancer? Like
Mental health support has a huge role in parts of just like wider cancer care. I think in lots of ways. So when someone first receives a cancer diagnosis, it can feel very lonely. It can feel, you can experience lots of feelings of anxiety and depression, and mental health support is really needed just to maybe help someone navigate these feelings and maybe provide coping strategies on how to deal with all of this. And our members also tells us that mental health support is really important after diagnosis and during and after treatment, because you can have the support on how to manage big lifestyle changes, how to manage fatigue, how to manage pain, how to manage side effects of treatments, or how to manage even afterwards. And I think if you want to treat ovarian cancer holistically, mental health support is super important. I'd say crucial even.
Just to go full circle there, and I suppose even just to round this up, it's been really lovely to talk to you, but it shows and highlights the importance, even if we couldn't go as fully into it as I wish we had hours, but obviously we don't. It shows the importance of what you do and how important it is that organisations like Ovacome have this area or this service within what they do to really work with communities and try to, you maybe can't completely overcome certain barriers, but you can support people as they navigate them. And I think that I can see that you've been really supportive of our community, and you've really been good at working with Epic and working with Showmen's Mental Health to make sure we're all collaborating and co-designing and doing it with the community. And yeah, I just want to thank you for today, and thank you for, I'm so glad that we get to work with each other till the end of the year. And yeah, hopefully everyone watched this today and they enjoyed it and they got to see a wee bit more of what was going on behind the scenes and who we are and why we're doing what we do. And hopefully we help and we can support people within the community who are either survivors or who are going through treatment or are just family members who want to support someone and need support themselves. So yeah, thank you so much for watching, and yeah, we'll put all the links and everything you need to check out Ovacome and to seek out for the support of it if you need that support. So thank you, Nina.
Thank you so much for having me.
Right, okay, well, goodbye everybody, and yeah, to viewers, to people who are watching, we'll have another one of these soon, and yeah, thank you so much for your support of the charity.